really not tough words, but certainly challenging ones from Jesus today. You know, he takes the old law, which was one rooted in kind of getting even, so to speak. An eye for an eye, a tooth for the tooth. If someone does this, then this is what they get back, and it's somehow even leveling the playing field or evening out the game. But Jesus, when he looks at the response here, it's almost as if he's telling us that if we've been taken advantage of or been victimized, then we're to set ourselves up to basically double down and let it happen again. Now, I don't know that Jesus would be saying that we should allow ourselves to be taken advantage of. We certainly have to be careful and so forth, but let's look at his life. What resistance did he offer to evil in his own life as he was carrying the cross? It was little to none. You know, he let things happen as somehow being God's will. I think this was really, or I believe this is really more of a teaching against returning violence for violence rather than it is one of just saying that we just let ourselves be taken advantage of. It's kind of interesting, though. If one has a generous spirit in the first place, it's hard to be taken advantage of. In other words, he's saying when you see someone in need, just give. Nothing can be taken if it's freely given. So in some sense here, I really believe Jesus is telling us to have a healthy sense of detachment from things. That the stuff that we have, or stuff that we own, that it doesn't own us or our allegiance. Because sometimes we can get into an idea of preserving everything that we have at all costs. You ever find yourself in that? It's like, I mean, who isn't right now with stock markets going and all? You might be sitting there saying, I got to hold on to this. I've got my retirement or my savings or whatever it is. To some degree, it's like, if you take on the attitude that somehow things will work out, it does bring a little bit more peace of mind, particularly in the light of things that we have no control over. Now, some things that we can, and we can mitigate things and so forth, to be sure. But at the same time, when we're not fed by vengeance or trying to get even over everything, or when we've been hurt trying to inflict another wound on someone that is equally painful, there is a certain peace that comes. Because we're not consumed with trying to get even, trying to have something happen to the other person. Now, sometimes justice takes time, and we know that and so forth, but when that consumes our lives, where it's to bring somebody down, it can really just take us to a dark place. Mercy, forgiveness, generosity, they're all freeing qualities because they take us from being attached to things or even ourselves or even our lives, and having a healthy sense of detachment of saying, if it all belongs to God, if everything we have from God is indeed gift, which we do believe, then it's not something that we should be attached to. It's something we should be detached from. Use it, build up the kingdom, live good, moral, healthy lives, but not be so attached that we get so focused on holding on, or when we're wronged, getting even. And again, the best example of that was Jesus. Who was more detached from his earthly life than Jesus? He spent his whole life healing, preaching, teaching, accompanying, reaching out, and literally spent his life as his blood poured out on the cross for the sake of a humanity that didn't really, by and large, accept him. But he knew that it was for something higher, and he was able to put his heart into God's hands, and that gave him peace. Amen?